Oh, it worked. Okay, good. Here we go. There we are. Hello and welcome to the Elemental Entrepreneurship Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah. If you're watching live on YouTube, oh, okay. Hold on. Boom. Okay. I am streaming this through Zoom onto YouTube, which I don't usually do. So bear with my little technical difficulties here. But I wanted to make sure that I got this live on YouTube and I got it out on the podcast the same day. And this was the easiest way to do it. So if you're watching live on YouTube, thank you for bearing with me as I got all of this together. If you're listening on the podcast, heads up, I do our monthly readings live on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll make sure to put the link for that in the show notes. If you're new around here, my name is Sarah Beyer. I'm a certified life and business coach. I help creative spiritual practitioners, heart-centered service providers build the lives and businesses of their dreams. And I'm also a witch. And I've been reading tarot and oracle cards for almost 30 years, a really long time since I was a wee one. And every month at the beginning of a new astrological season, I come on and I share a card reading for all of us, for the collective, about the astrological season ahead. And we just kicked off Gemini season. Gemini season started yesterday. It's a full moon this week. There's a lot going on. And we do the same six prompts in the same order for every season. And I pre-meditate over the cards, pray over them, cleanse them, shuffle them, and do all of that in advance so that I can get all of my notes together and make sure that I know how I want to interpret this message and what I want to say. Though I will say, I watched some other card readers on here who shuffle on during their reading and like on camera. And there is like a cool ASMR vibe of hearing the cards, which at first I didn't like, and now I kind of like it. So I don't know if you want me to start like actually doing my shuffling and seeing the cards that come up on camera. Let me know in the comments if you're into that, and that might help me decide if I want to change the way that I've been doing it. But here we go. So the very first card that we always pull, we always ask, what's going on for us right now? And the card that came up is Faith in the Process. These are the Sacred Rebel Oracle deck. So faith in the process, this is what's going on for us right now. This reading felt so accurate to where I'm at in my life. So if this feels resonant to you as well, we're right on track. We're doing the right thing. There's a couple of different ways that this may be showing up for you. So thing number one is you have already accepted that you are in a time, in a period, in a situation where your action, your hustle, your drive, your decision-making power, all of your wonderful masculine earth and fire qualities are not what is needed to get you to the next level. And if you're like me, I'm a fire dominant entrepreneur in my system. So if you're like me, accepting that action and work are not the answer can be very challenging. It is sometimes really hard as a like driven, ambitious, hyper independent, smart person to be like, oh, there are forces that are larger than me and more powerful than I am, who are also involved in my success, and my drive, my effort, my timeline, my ambition are not the only thing that determines my outcomes. I find it annoying. I don't know if you find it annoying, but I find it annoying. I just want to be able to set my sights on something and go and get the results I want. Unfortunately, we are dealing with the seen, the unseen, and everything in between. And sometimes we hit a point where we have to just realize and accept, like, my little human efforts are not enough to get me the great big results that I want. Or I know that I'm going into a next level, but I don't know what that next level is. I just like feel that I'm in a transition and I don't know intellectually exactly what that's going to look like yet. And all I can do is surrender and open myself up and sit in the unknown And for many of us, the unknown is very uncomfortable. And just to be like, okay, I'm going to accept that, like, the image, the information, the insight, the intuition is going to come when it's going to come. And when it comes, I'll move. But until it comes, there's nothing I can do. I am going to get on my knees and pray. I am going to surrender. I'm going to open myself up. I'm going to get into receiving mode. I'm going to relax. I'm going to take my hands off it because I'm understanding I've done my part. I've done the work that I can do. And now it's the universe has got it, right? There are spiritual forces that are bigger than us that are capable of doing so much more than what we're capable of doing. And whether you call that God or the universe, if you have a specific deity that you are thinking of when I'm saying this, great. Whatever it is, there is some larger force at play that is capable of doing much bigger things than any one human is capable of doing on their own. So we are in a phase right now where either you're in that surrendered spot. That's what's been going on for me. If you've been around, you heard me announce I was going to stop selling my signature program. There's a lot of things that are changing in my business, but I didn't know exactly what was coming next. And I still don't entirely know exactly what's coming next. And I had to just surrender, even though it's very uncomfortable. I had to just surrender and say, okay, I am going to sit and wait. I am going to have faith that if I take my hands off the wheel and I just chill out a little bit and I focus on things that make me happy and filling my cup creatively and being inspired and doing things that are fun and having conversations with people that get me and know me, that the next phase will reveal itself. And I cannot rush that process because it's not all in my hands. So you may be either in a similar phase or it's, you know that you need to do that. You know that you need to surrender and to stop trying to force it, to stop trying to effort it, to stop trying to figure it out. You got to relax and let go and have faith in the process, have faith in your unfolding, have faith in your spirit team, have faith in your guides, have faith in life, that what's going to come next or your next level is going to reveal itself to you, but it's not going to come through your effort and your forcing because you are only one small part. The other part of this message is that you actually are part of a divine unfolding that is happening on the planet, that is happening in life, that is happening throughout time and space. You are a small part of this magnificent human melodrama that's playing out around us. And you need to allow yourself to be moved into position by spirit, by source. And you cannot allow yourself to be moved while forcing and efforting and logicking through what you think needs to happen. Can't do both things at the same time. So it is time for you to surrender, to literally take your hands off the wheel and allow yourself to be helped. This is especially true if you're in a position where you feel like you have been working so hard and nothing's changing. You feel like you've been doing all the things. What's coming through for me loud and clear this week, the doors closed for my Powerhouse Mastermind. If you are the right client for Powerhouse Mastermind, it is because you as a business owner have been working really hard. You've been doing all the strategies. You've hired help. You're bringing in clients, but things that used to work for you like aren't working anymore and you cannot figure out why. You're starting to feel a little bit of resentment, even of like all the things that are supposed to give me results that used to give me results aren't giving me results anymore. And I'm trying to just work harder and double down on effort to fix it, but it's not working. Deep down, you know that the reason it's not working is because you've actually efforted enough. You've probably gone too far in the direction of effort and forcing and strategy. And now you need to swing back the other way into a more feminine energetic space, not talking about sex or gender, but talking about energetics, a more receiving mode, a more flow, a more expansiveness, a more leaned back, open, move me, use me, show me where to go space so that you can be placed strategically by life, the universe, and everything into the right next spot for that next opportunity to come through. So if you've been like, I am struggling and I'm at my wit's end, she's in this little like red wagon, and it's like you feel like the wheels on your wagon are falling off, that is the time that you know the reason the work isn't working is because work is no longer the answer. It's time to transition to faith. So what is the block preventing us from faith or from stepping into like to getting that clarity on the message of what's next? The block is the oracle of what do you feel? Now, this card says very clearly the thing that's blocking us from figuring out what comes next or from being willing to step into surrender is other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, other people's feedback. So you've got too many people around you right now giving you their input about what they think that you should do. So this can be really well-meaning people. It can be mentors, it can be coaches, it can be friends, it can be peers in your industry, it can be coworkers, it could be your spouse, it could be your family, but there's like too many people around you who are sharing what they think you should do. And it is pulling you off your square. It is making you doubt that you know what's best for you. And it's also keeping you in the mode of being intellectual and analytical about what the smartest next move is. But that's not the energy that's called for right now. Right? The next move, again, what we're supposed to be in is surrender and faith in the process. It's not going to come from your mind. And the answer may end up looking totally different than what's quote unquote smart or what's quote unquote strategic. The answer might end up looking so radically different than what you think it's going to look like. But the only way you're going to find out is if you stop listening to all these other people who are sharing their thoughts and their opinions about what they think that you should do. It's also about getting out of your own thoughts and analytical frameworks on what you think you should do, because the card isn't what do you think, it's what do you feel. Getting in touch with your own feelings, spending time alone. There may be a pause that you need to take from talking to other people about what you're doing and what you're working on right now, not because you need to be secretive, not because anyone's hating, but just because you're kind of in a tender space where every time somebody gives you a new idea, it kind of spins you off into thinking about it again and trying to analyze the situation versus allowing yourself to genuinely be surrendered in the unknown and in the in-between and being like, hey, when the answer hits me, I'm going to know it in my body. I'm going to know it in my gut. I'm going to feel it in my heart. It's going to come to me as a vision that's fully formed. It's not going to be the result of crafting the smartest and most strategic plan. That's not where I'm at right now. And so stepping back a little bit from taking feedback about this right now is really important, because talking about it too much with other people is kind of keeping you out of the surrender space. If you need to talk about it with God, talk about it with the ocean, talk about it with a big tree, talk about it to the grass while you're laying outside, write about it in your journal, voice note it to yourself. But right now, the block is that you're not honed in enough on your own feelings. You're focused a little too much on the thought realm, the opinion realm, and what people around you think would be best for you to do. That's not the input, input that you need right now. So once you move that block, once you take a little break from talking with people about this and you decide you're just going to be in your own bag, focused on your own feelings and allowing the answer to emerge through you, what is the gift that will come as a result of that? The gift is trust yourself. The gift is that you will build self-trust. Right now, part of what's happening in asking everyone else what they think you should do and getting all this feedback and going through all these plans, there's a little bit of you that doesn't trust fully that you know how to grow. that doesn't trust fully that your growth is going to be the quote unquote right type of growth, that you don't trust fully that you are being led in the right direction. And that habit of asking a bunch of other people what they think you should do and how they feel and what their opinions are and what their plans are for you, that is a little bit of feeling like maybe I don't know what's best for myself. It could also be because you've tried so many things, right? This place that you're at of like, I've tried so many things and nothing is working. I've asked all these different experts. I've brought in people. I've paid for people's opinions. I've asked all these different people what they think I should do. And I want to honor those investments. And I brought in people who are smarter than me because I don't think I have all the answers, but I've tried all these things and some of them contradict each other. It just made me even more confused about what I should do. And so now I really doubt myself because all of the things that I've tried haven't gotten me where I was trying to get. And that can really undermine self-trust as well. So by giving yourself, first of all, the permission that we're going to surrender. We're going to take our hands off the wheel. We're going to allow ourselves to be in the uncomfortable unknown and trust that the next steps are going to emerge. We're not going to ask other people what they think about it. We're not going to get into analyzing it and trying to make a bunch of intellectual and strategic plans. I'm just going to trust myself that I will recognize what is the next right move when it shows up. I trust my intuition. I trust my body. I trust my inner knowing. I trust me. I trust life. I trust that I will be able to unfold and to move when it's time to move. That's the gift that's going to come from you giving yourself this permission to step into this place. Because when the next thing emerges and you do know and you act on it and it goes brilliantly, you're going to get this reinvigoration of your trust muscle of like, yes, I can trust myself. I can trust my inner knowing. I did get too off track with trying to talk to experts and ask everybody else what they thought I should do. I do know how to tap into what's right for me, to tap into spirit. I do know how to connect with my own inner knowing. And when I act on it, good things happen for me. That is the boost that you need right now in your self-trust. The other thing that this oracle talks about is that growth is happening even when you can't see it. And you need to trust that growth is happening even when you can't see it. When you plant a tree, it takes a really long time for you to see a sprout, but that's because trees grow down before they grow up. They're getting their roots into the ground. They're getting themselves literally rooted and sturdy to support all the growth that's going to happen upward once that root system is in place. So just because you can't see the sprouts of the things you've planted yet does not mean no growth is happening. If you've been marketing, just because a client hasn't hit you up today saying, I want to buy, doesn't mean there aren't people who are right now consuming your content, looking at your offers, visiting your website. This is a silly thing, but like if you don't have Google Analytics set up on your website, get it set up. Sometimes I go on my Google Analytics because I have this feeling that like no one is ever looking at my website and nothing is happening. I'm shocked every time I look. I'm like, okay, hundreds of people have found my website this week from organic searches or from my content, from my videos. It's happening invisibly because they're not necessarily all reaching out to me all the time, but I can trust, right, that I've planted all these seeds. They're growing at their own pace. I may not be able to see the sprouts yet, but that doesn't mean no growth is happening. That doesn't mean roots aren't dropping into the ground. In your business, if you've been taking steps to bring in audience members and to bring people to you, we want to remember that like, even if those people haven't reached out to you yet, that doesn't mean that right now someone may not be consuming all of your content, binging your podcast, watching all your videos on Instagram and going, this is the person I want to work with. Let me get my coins together. There's growth happening. We just can't always see it. And we need to remember that this growth is happening all the time, even when it's invisible to us. And that is also our personal growth. My nails are growing right now. My hair is growing right now. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Growth is sometimes so gradual that it's easy for it to feel like it's not happening at all and then it's happening all at once. It's not. It is always happening. It is gradual. It is cumulative. You know how to grow. Your heart knows how to beat without you thinking about it. Your body knows how to breathe without you focusing on it. Growth is happening all the time. You know how to grow. You are growing. You are connected to the same life force as every other living being on the planet. Growth is happening. You can trust it. And so the gift that is coming through your submission, right? And some people don't like that word, but your submission and your surrender, right? I am not going to try to fight this period of unknown. I'm not going to try to fight my next level. I'm not going to try to fight against discomfort. I'm not going to try to resist not knowing. I surrender. I will sit in the not knowing. I will let the next level come to me. I will take a step back from listening to what everyone else says, and I'm going to focus on my own feelings, my own intuition, my own insight, making myself feel good. And when the next thing emerges, because it does, and it always will, and I act on it and it goes well, I will bolster my ability to trust myself, and I will carry that with me into the next thing. So, what is the way that we should be dealing with other people and the outside world during this time? The card we got is against the grain. So what this card talks about is you're different. You're meant to be different. And so part of the problem with listening to all of these other people's thoughts and strategies and expert opinions on what you should do is that you're literally designed to be different. You see the world differently. You experience things differently. This card, there's like birds underwater, and it talks about how you are the type of person who wants to see birds, underwater and fish flying. Like, you just see the world for what it could be, for infinite potential, for creativity. You see beauty in everything. You see ways that things could be different. You are designed to see things differently, to create differently, to experience things differently. You may be a little bit of a black sheep, and that actually comes up again in another card of the reading. But you're meant to be. That is who you're meant to be right now. So some of the problem that you may have, like many of us do, is that being different is kind of lonely. And seeing the world really differently is kind of lonely. And there may be very well-meaning people around you who even love you, who are giving you advice that is not meant for you. It's not meant for the way that you do things. It's not meant for someone who is as unique as you are. And that can sometimes make us feel, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I should be more like these other people. Why can't I be more normal? Why can't I be more satisfied with the status quo, right? There can just be things that come up that make us feel like being different and going against the grain and doing things differently than everyone else is lonely. And I feel misunderstood, or I want to feel connected to people. That is a super relatable, understandable, regular thing. We all want to feel connected to people. It's good to feel connected to people. We are social creatures. We should feel connected to people. But also, trying to fit in and do what works for other people will never work for us, because we're just not built that way. That's not who we're designed to be. And so during this period where you're taking a step back from other people's opinions and you're tapping into your own self-trust, accepting that you're designed to be different and that the things that work for other people do not work for you, and that other people may look at what you're doing and be like, that's really out there, and just be like, yeah, it is to you. I get it. I understand it. I wrote a note to myself to make a piece of content about this, but the idea that, like, so often I hear from people that are trying to make content for their business or to grow their following, and they're like, how do I make stuff that gets me followers? How do I make stuff that's going to go viral? How do I make stuff that's popular? And we're so focused on making things that we think other people are going to like that we stop asking the question, what makes me unique? What makes me really stand out? we get so focused on wanting to fit in with the popular, with the cool, right? And we don't think about it like that, because what we're really doing is trying to grow our business. We want to make money and we want to succeed, and that's a super reasonable thing. But we're not necessarily designed to do it through following a formula. We're designed to do it by standing out in our uniqueness. And sometimes when we're really different, we can be carrying the shadow that being unique is a bad thing, that standing out is going to get us negative attention, that being really different is not going to be successful. And that is not true. It may have been true in elementary school. It may have been true in high school, when fitting in was the way that you endured the social morass of that environment. It is not true for your business. It's not true for your creative projects. It's not true for you as an adult. You are designed to stand out. You're not meant to fit in. You, like, this message is very clear from spirit. Like, you're literally one of the people who's here to change things. We need people who see things differently. We need people who have a really unique voice. We need people who go against the grain and do things their own way. So just because it's not how everyone else would do it, and just because it's not what the people around you have suggested you do, doesn't mean it's not right for you. It's time for you to be accepting of the fact that you are here to be different, and to stop trying to fit in, and to stop trying to do things the way that everyone else does them, and then wondering, well, it worked for that person, why won't it work for me? Because you're not meant to do it that way. You're meant to do it your way. You are meant to stand out. You're meant to be unique. You're meant to get attention for your difference and your uniqueness, not for playing the game and doing the formula so well. That's just not what's going to be successful for you. That is not who you are. Okay? So both of these cards just really make sense with where all of what this reading is. Your message from your spirit guides is seeing the true you. So one of the problems that it says you've been having is you've just gotten too caught up in how other people see you. You have gotten, maybe it is this, like, the people who are giving you their opinions. It could be people you've hired in the past to help you. And, like, when you pay an expert, you want to take their advice seriously, but maybe their advice wasn't actually right for you. It could be your family. It could be your friends. It can be your peers. It can just be following people in your industry and seeing how they're doing things and trying to do it that way. But basically, you are thinking all the time right now about how other people perceive you, and trying to manage other people's perceptions of you. You want to be seen as whatever, an expert, an authority, as cool, as desirable, whatever it is that you want to be seen as, or you don't want to be seen as flighty or weird or too out there. There's a lot of witch wound that can be showing up. I don't want anyone to think that I'm too bizarre. I don't want anyone to think my work is too esoteric. I want to be really approachable, right? There's some shadow around how you want people to see you that you have become preoccupied with. You are just putting way too much stock. This is your spirit guide's message for you. You're putting way too much stock in what other people think you are. And what this card talks about, when you look at the card, this person is looking at their reflection in a kind of murky pond. This card talks specifically about how reflections are only as true and as valuable as the surface doing the reflecting, right? So if you're looking at yourself in a murky pond, the reflection that you see is going to be very different than if you look at yourself in a frosted glass window. And that's going to be different than the reflection that you see if you look at yourself in a funhouse mirror. And that's going to be different than the reflection that you see when you put yourself through a front-facing camera, or when you look at yourself through an Instagram filter. The honesty, the accuracy of the reflection is only as accurate as the surface doing the reflecting. And when we're talking about other people's perceptions of us, it might be easy to think that other people see us as we are. It might be easy to think that other people's reflections of us are accurate, and in some ways, maybe they are. But everyone who perceives us is perceiving us through the lens of their own thoughts, feelings, life experiences. It's not a completely neutral and objective reflection. So Someone telling you what they think you should do is doing so through the lens of their own life experience. And that may or may not be resonant or valuable to you in your life experience. Now, everyone has something resonant and valuable to share. It might be, there may be times where it would be good for you to hear it. But right now, what's happening is it's pulling you off of your own center. You're so caught up in what other people think you should do, who other people think you should be. And it may not even be stuff they've said, it's what you think they think, right? So we're in a mind reading place. You're spending so much time thinking about what you think other people think of you or how you think other people are going to react to you. What do you think is going to be successful? What do you think is not going to be successful? What do you think people, all of it's a guessing game. You don't know. But you're so caught up in thinking about how other people are perceiving you that you're losing track of how you feel about you, that you're losing connection to your own creative impulses, to your own genuine desires, because you're so worried about trying to perform yourself for other people. Spirit says, you got to stop. It is a time. And this is also true with people who, like, I don't want to say blow smoke up your ass, but I know the friends that I can go to who are going to hype me on everything. I know the friends that I can go to for tough love. I know the friends that I can go to for like a pretty metered and tempered, do you want to know what I would do? Right? We know. So if you may be lucky enough to have people in your life who really reflect your beauty and your power and your capacity and your capability to you. Love that for you. We love those people. But also, this card is not saying, hey, pull back from the people who judge you and have too negative of an opinion of you and rely more heavily on the people who see you as beautiful and capable and that you can do no wrong. This card says pull away from all of it. Don't put too much stock in anyone's opinions of you. Take a period of time to be very focused on what you think and feel about you, your perceptions of yourself. This card also talks about, for my healers, my helpers, my generous, big-hearted people watching and listening to this, some of this is because you really care about other people and you don't want to be harmful and you don't want to hurt people's feelings. And, like me and my friend always call it like, am I the asshole? So you're sometimes checking with other people because you're like, did I do something wrong? Is it me? But that still feeds into a self-doubt. That still feeds into a lack of self-trust. That's still coming from a perception of, I don't really know. I don't have a good beat on me. I don't know if I'm moving in a way that's healthy. I don't know if I'm making the best decisions. I can't trust my perception of my life. I need other people to confirm for me that I'm good and that I'm okay and that what I'm doing is okay and that I'm handling things, quote unquote, correctly, right? There's still a little bit of self-doubt in there that you really know you, understand you, can trust your own perception of situations. And in your desire to be respectful and responsible and caring about other people's feelings, you've kind of swung too far in the direction of too much of your thought real estate is caught up in, oh, well, I don't want to do this because this person, then they might feel that. And I don't want to say this because this person might feel that. And I don't want to do it like this because this person might not like it. You need a period of being you, for you, accountable to you, and trusting that like you have an accurate perception of who you are and how you're moving and what you're doing, and other people's responses and reactions to you are 100% theirs to manage. You don't need to manage them for them. You can just focus on doing the things that feel the most right and the most authentic and the most supportive to you, and let other people sort themselves out. And if they have questions about it, they can ask you and you can tell them. And if they don't like it, maybe it's time for those people to not be around you, and that's okay, right? But running your life from this place of constantly wondering what other people think and trying to act in the way that's going to get you the most approval, that's what's fucking up your bag right now. Again, I feel so strongly, if you're listening to this and Powerhouse Mastermind is right for you, this is a big deal for you, because so many of us start our business from a really empowered and excited place. But then once we get into business, we start chasing the algorithm and trends and trying to do what we think is going to quote unquote work, by which we mean what's going to sell, and trying to say things in a way that's going to be really appealing to our ideal client. And we can really get lost in the sauce of trying to market our work, and we can lose connection to the things that made us excited about our work in the first place, the things that were so appealing about who we were and our genuine power. And in Powerhouse Mastermind, I'm going to be working with people for a year to help get out of this place of sourcing all of our decision making through what we think other people are going to like and what's going to make other people move, and getting back into trusting ourselves, that we know what's best, that we know what's right, that other people are whole sovereign entities having their own emotional and intellectual experience, and we don't have to manage them, that the right people will come forward for us, that the wrong people will fall back, and that all of that is acceptable, that we can handle all of it. That is what I mean when I say a powerhouse, someone who is really able to make moves and make decisions and be creative from a place of tapping into their own inner knowing, their own inner sense of the world, versus trying to outsource all of our ideas, all of our creativity, all of our moves through what's going to get us the most approval. So maybe you need to join Powerhouse and we can work on this together. I would love to support you. So the next card is the last one, and it is the final message on how to bring this into form. And the card that we got is the shock of the new. So what this card talks about very specifically is, that I think is most connected to this message, is that you need to let go of any fear you have of being seen as weird or unusual or bizarre or too out there. Like whatever fear you have of being seen as exotic, that's a word that they use in the book for this card, as unique, as bizarre, you've got to let go of that fear in order to bring this next phase of your evolution to light. What is coming up for me really strong in this faith in the process, and what do you feel? All of this stuff about like, I'm stepping into the unknown and I'm opening myself up to what's coming next. Am I willing to consider that what is going to come next is going to be so surprising that it's going to shock even me? Am I open to the idea that what's going to come next is nothing that's been on my radar? Am I open to the idea that what's going to come next is going to be so new, so different that I'm really surprised by it? Am I willing to let myself be surprised by myself, by my own life? Am I willing to, if the message comes through that you should burn your signature program that makes you the most money down to the ground, are you going to be open to that message? If the message comes through that it's time to like close your business down and start a new business, are you open to that message? If the message comes through that it's time to leave your relationship, are you open to that message? If the message comes through that it's time to completely pivot and start a new niche, are you open to the message? Are you so in your head, right? There, some of the analysis may be like some sunk cost fallacy stuff of, well, I've worked so hard, I've built this following, people expect this from me, I know I get paid when I do this, I know people like it when I do that, I've been in this for so long, maybe we can make it work, it doesn't make sense to get rid of it. Sometimes all of that logic and trying to stay in how do I do the thing that makes the most sense on paper or makes the most sense financially is resisting the message and is resisting the possibility that your next step is something you couldn't even conceive of yet. So I really encourage all of you who are resonating with this message to say, like, just to yourself, to spirit, nothing's off the table. I'm willing to hear all of the ideas, right? There's no bad ideas in a brainstorm. I'm open to everything. I'm open to sitting and considering that this thing that I love so much that I built, maybe it's time for me to let it go. And maybe it's not, but I will sit with it. I will genuinely consider that. I'm open to considering the things that feel so risky and so unknown and so like that my gut impulse is like, I'm not even willing to consider that. No, I'm willing to consider it. I might say no, but there's nothing off the table. I'm willing to be shocked by what feels right. That's how much I'm willing to open myself up. I don't care if it seems nuts to other people. I don't care if like my new direction feels completely left field. I don't care if right, like for those of you who it's a witch wound thing, like I'm going to loudly and proudly state that I do this out there esoteric work and I'm not afraid anymore of being seen as too different. I'm going to do my marketing my way and I'm not afraid anymore of being seen as too out of the box. Letting go of whatever fears that you have of being seen as too out there, too independent, too bizarre, letting go of any fears that you have of considering that your next step might be something so wild and so out there that it will shock even you. You got to just like let all that go. That is the advice for how to bring this next catapult of your evolution into form. I'm open to considering it at whatever it is. The other thing that this card talks about is that nature, the way that nature is beautiful, is not neat and orderly. Nature is beautiful in a way that is wild and bizarre, right? It talks about like weird bioluminescent fish and like things that are like gnarled and there's decay. Nature's beauty is not cookie cutter, and yours isn't either. And so some of what you've been going through is trying to fit yourself into this image of what's popular and what gets approval and what works in your industry and what you see other people being praised for. And you're trying to cookie cutter yourself so that you're like, okay, well, if those people are getting results like that, if I do that, I should get those results, but it's not working for you because that's not who you're designed to be. You are beautiful the way that nature is beautiful in a weird, wild, wonderful, unique way. And you are not meant to try to fit in anymore. And so there's part of you, a part of all of us, right? We're conditioned into acceptability standards. We're conditioned into beauty standards. And there's been a part of you that's been like, I will not be seen as beautiful or valuable. My work won't be seen as beautiful or valuable if I let myself be as weird and different as I really am. Fuck it. Fuck it, we ball. It's time to be weird. It's time to be different. It's time to let your freak flag fly. It is time to allow yourself to be seen for who and what you really are without trying to fit yourself into a box. And I'm especially getting that this is industry related. Whatever the box is for your industry, you're just not meant to be that thing. And so your next level is going to come when you take your hands off the wheel and say, okay, like I surrender. I'm beautiful the way nature is beautiful. It is weird and wild and wonderful and not symmetrical. And that's what it is. I am completely open to the new thing that's coming, and I'm open to it being radically new, completely new, taking me in a completely different direction. Even if that's a little bit scary, even if it shocks me, I will be able to handle it because life is wild, but it is also wise. And if my inner knowing comes on the thing and I know it's true, even if it's weird, then I know it's true, even if it's weird. And that's just what I got to go with. We'll see what we get next month. But that's our Gemini season reading. I love it. So I always draw a shadow. What is the shadow that we need to be working through? And your shadow right now is the alchemist. Our shadow right now is the alchemist. So the shadow for the alchemist is, right, we know what an alchemist is. It is someone who can transform like lead into gold. It's someone who can take the raw ingredients of anything and turn them into something else. So no matter how bad things have gotten, you may have lost a little bit of your faith that you're going to be able to transmute your current circumstances into something beautiful, into something great, into something new. And you can. That's the shadow we need to work through, is lack of faith that we can turn any circumstance or situation into what we want it to be. And so I want to just read straight from the book. It says, someone who's in the shadow of alchemist may not believe in themselves. They may have both a fear of failure and a fear of success, keeping them paralyzed in their current situation. They can also minimize situations and keep their true feelings inside, as opposed to getting them out and moving on. A key to being an alchemist is naming what's happening so that you can work with it. So our shadow to work through this season is, have you lost faith in yourself? This we're starting with this place of like coming to accept that you've got to have faith in the process. You've got to surrender. You've got to just let yourself unfold. So you may have gotten yourself into a place, and I just relate to this so heavily because this is what's been happening for me in my business over the past couple of years. This place of I've brought in so many experts. I've had so many people work with me and so many people help me, and I've gotten so much outside feedback. And a lot of it has not worked, and it has undermined my faith in myself. And so part of my decision to pause on selling my program and to sit in my own unfurling of like, I don't know what's going to come next, but I'm really open to it being something that surprises me, was this feeling of like, I lost trust in myself. Right. I got to a certain level in my business, a certain state of growth. And I was like, okay, great. Now I want to focus on scaling and strategy. And I got hyper masculine and I started doing all of the strategic things that all the experts said to do. But that was never what made my business work. That was not what started my business. It wasn't what made my business successful. And in trying to do more and more and more and more of the strategic things, I got farther and farther from trusting the magic, the intuition that I started my business from, and that brought me into this vocation. Like what works for me is different. And it's not that any of those strategies on their own are bad. And it's not that any of the people I brought in to help me didn't necessarily give me valuable things, but I do know what it's like to feel like you've undermined your own self-trust, or that you've gotten into a place of now I've tried so many things that I've just kind of made a bigger mess than where I was at before. And now I don't know how to get out of it. And so bringing back that self-trust, really sitting and recognizing that whatever it is that you've got in front of you right now, whatever it is you're working with, whatever it is that you're dealing with, you are the alchemist. You're the one who's capable of taking all of the raw ingredients of your current situation and transforming it into what's going to come next. But you can only do that when you get really honest with yourself about what's actually been going on, what is actually here, and how you really feel about it. That's what's going to create the space for you to start saying, okay, here's the ingredients, here's what I have. What's possible now? What can I transform this into? How can I flip this? How can I freak this? How can I turn this into something that's going to carry me into the next phase of my growth? So that is my reading for us for Gemini season. I hope that this was valuable for you. And if you're feeling inspired, if you're like, yes, this is it. I have been in a position of working really hard, but things aren't working. I have been in this place of thinking so much about what everyone else is doing that I've lost my inner trust. Powerhouse Mastermind is the place for you. We are going to restore you to the seat of power in your business. We're going to restore your body and your intuition to its rightful seat of power in your business, rather than outsourcing all of your power to external authority. It is an inside job. And you might be like, but you're going to be my coach, so aren't I giving you authority? Hopefully not. If I do my job correctly, which I think I do most of the time, I'm not going to be teaching you anything in this program. There's no curriculum. I'm not giving you a formula. I am here to help you get as clear and honest as possible with who you are and what you really want, and then bring my tools, my training, my gifts to help you break through the fears, the self-doubts, the blocks that come up, which will inevitably come up as you start thinking, well, but if I do this, then this might happen and other people might not like, right? All the fears and doubts that are holding you in the way that you're operating right now in outsourcing that power, those operating systems need to be cleared and reprogrammed for you to step into that level of self-trust. That's what I'm going to be there to do for you and with you as your guide, not teach you how to do things my way, but help you figure out what your way is and help you clear the blocks that have been standing between you and living it and doing it your own way. So the doors for Powerhouse Mastermind applications close on the day after the full moon. Full moon's the 23rd. So Friday, the 24th, this coming Friday is when the doors close. So if you're curious, I would just get your application in so that we can talk about it. And I'll put the link for that in the show notes. Before I hop off, I'm going to check here on YouTube and see if there's anyone live who's commenting or asking questions. I don't see any, so I think we're all good. In the future, if you want to watch these things live and interact with me and ask questions, I'm always happy to have you there. So it's just youtube.com/@ intuitive edge coaching, and you can find me there. All right, that is the message. I would love to hear your feedback. If you're watching on YouTube, put them in the comments. If you're listening on the podcast, email them to me, intuitiveedgecoaching@gmail.com.